If I had known I was about to die, I would have at least worn matching socks, but no, fate had other plans. It started with a dry cafeteria muffin. One moment, I was sitting in my economics lecture, taking a small, totally harmless bite. The next, my throat decided that swallowing was optional. I choked. Not a cute little cough, no, full-on gasping, flailing, knocking over my water bottle like an absolute disaster. Nobody noticed. Not even the professor, who was too busy explaining supply and demand in a voice so dull it could put a caffeinated squirrel to sleep. My best friend, Rachel, sitting beside me, finally looked over. Her eyes widened in alarm before she, without hesitation, punched me in the back hard. I lurched forward, nearly headbutting my desk, as the demon muffin piece shot out of my mouth and landed directly onto my open notebook. The whole class turned to look. Rachel, lowering her fist like she had just delivered a knockout blow, grinned proudly. "There. You're welcome." I wheezed, barely catching my breath. "What the hell, Rachel? You were dying," she said with a shrug. "No big deal. No big deal. I could have died. Right there. In the middle of an economics lecture. What a tragic way to go. And the worst part, if I had dropped dead, my biggest regret wouldn't have been my incomplete assignments or the fact that I never got around to watching the last season of Stranger Things. No. My biggest regret, I had been in love with Ethan Carter for 3 years, and he had no idea. Ethan Carter, university gym rat, protein shake connoisseur, owner of the strongest arms I had ever seen in real life, and completely, utterly oblivious to my existence. Okay, maybe that was dramatic. He knew who I was. We had spoken before, mostly in passing, small talk about classes, a borrowed pen once during a midterm, the time I accidentally took his gym bag instead of mine and found an entire tub of pre-workout powder inside. Seriously, why do gym guys carry that stuff everywhere? But he had never, not once, looked at me the way I looked at him, and for 3 years, I had accepted that. But now, after having a near-death experience over a freaking muffin, absolutely not. "I have to tell him," I whispered, still shaken from my brush with death. Rachel blinked. "Tell who what?" "I have to tell Ethan I like him." Rachel's eyebrows nearly shot off her face. "Right now? After nearly dying?" "Yes. Because I nearly died. I saw my life flash before my eyes, and you know what was missing? Romance. If I get hit by a bus tomorrow, I refuse to leave this world without at least trying." Rachel stared at me for a long moment before nodding. "Okay, fair. But also, you're a hot mess, and this is going to be a disaster." "I know," I said. "But it's happening anyway." Chapter 2. The next afternoon, I spotted Ethan right where he always was, by the gym, looking unfairly attractive in a sleeveless hoodie, surrounded by his equally muscle-bound friends. And my heartbeat did the stupid thing where it sped up like I had just sprinted across campus. This was it. My moment. Rachel, standing beside me, handed me a water bottle like a coach preparing an athlete for their final match. "You got this." "No, I don't." "You're right, you don't. But it'll be funny to watch." I groaned, wiped my sweaty palms on my jeans, and took a deep breath. "I could do this. I just had to walk up to him and calmly say that I liked him." "Oh, wait. Nope. Because instead of walking, I tripped over absolutely nothing and went flying straight into the courtyard. Not only did I stumble, but my near faceplant was so dramatic that it caught the attention of half the student body, and then, because I am the absolute worst under pressure, my panic brain took over. Instead of gathering myself like a normal, functioning human being, I screamed, "Ethan Carter, I have been in love with you since freshman year." Silence. Absolute, crushing, unbearable silence. Every single person within a 30-foot radius turned to stare. A bird in the distance stopped mid-flight. The campus might as well have shut down. Ethan, the very person I had just confessed to, blinked. Slowly. As if his brain needed an extra second to process what had just happened, and then, he smirked. "Oh no. Oh no, 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 no." A smirk was bad. A smirk meant amusement. A smirk meant he thought this was funny. My soul tried to leave my body. Ethan crossed his arms, looking me up and down, clearly enjoying every second of my suffering. "Oh yeah," he said, tilting his head. "That's interesting. Because I had no idea." I was going to die for real this time. Chapter 3. There were only two options. 1. Laugh it off and pretend it was a joke. Point 2. Run away, change my name, and transfer schools. Unfortunately, my legs were frozen, and my mouth refused to form words, so I stood there, glitching like a broken NPC. Ethan, meanwhile, looked unreasonably entertained. His smirk deepened as he took a step closer, arms still crossed. So, what exactly do you want me to do with this information? Good question, Ethan. Excellent question. In fact, I, however, had no answer. Rachel, the traitor, was laughing so hard she had to hold onto a bench for support. I struggled to form words, but my brain had officially checked out. I just thought you should, know. Ethan nodded slowly, still smirking. Then, to my absolute horror, he winked. Well, he said, voice full of amusement, I respect the confidence. Let's grab food sometime. Excuse me, what? My brain short-circuited. My mouth opened and closed like a fish. Did he just ask me out? Before I could even respond, Ethan patted my head like I was some flustered little kid and walked off toward the gym, still chuckling to himself. I turned to Rachel, completely and utterly wrecked. She was still wheezing with laughter. You idiot. That was the most painfully awkward thing I have ever witnessed. I groaned, covering my face. Kill me. No way. Not when this is the best entertainment I've had all semester. Chapter 4. Rachel and I sat on a campus bench, me staring into the void while she ate fries with zero sympathy. So, she said, popping another fry into her mouth, are we gonna talk about what just happened, or should I write about it in my memoir? I groaned, dropping my face into my hands. No talking. Got it. Total silence. Absolutely no words. She chewed loudly. But seriously, did Ethan Carter just ask you out? I peeked at her through my fingers. I don't know. You don't know? Rachel repeated. He literally said, let's grab food sometime. That's textbook date material. Or, he meant it in, like, a friendly way, I said, already spiraling. What if he was just being nice? What if he thought I was joking and now he's humoring me? Rachel stared at me, unimpressed. Do guys who think you're joking wink at you? She had a point. A dangerous point. I sat up. Okay, but what if nope? Know what IFS? Rachel shoved a fry into my mouth before I could overthink myself into a coma. You're going. End of discussion. I sighed, chewing the fry. I can't believe I screamed my feelings in front of half the school. Rachel grinned. Oh, I can. Chapter 5. The next day, Ethan texted me. Ethan, lunch today? Or did I scare you off? I stared at my phone, heart pounding. Me. You. Scary? That's funny, Ethan. I'll take that as a yes. Meet me at the cafe at 1. Me. Okay, Ethan. Try not to shout your love for me in public again. I died. Right there. On the spot. Rachel, looking over my shoulder, let out an ungodly squeal. His flirting. No, his mocking me. Rachel shrugged. Same thing. At exactly 1 p.m., I walked into the campus cafe, spotting Ethan immediately. He was sitting by the window, casually sipping a protein shake. Of course. I took a deep breath and walked over. Hey. Ethan looked up, then grinned. Hey. You didn't run away. Impressive. I slid into the seat across from him. I considered it. He chuckled, setting his shake down. So, since we're here, I have to ask, was that the most dramatic confession you've ever done, or do you make a habit of screaming your feelings in public? I covered my face. I swear I had a plan. It just didn't happen. Ethan leaned forward, amused. What was the plan? I peeked at him through my fingers. Walk up. Casually say, hey, I like you. He laughed. And instead, you yelled it across campus. I panicked. Ethan shook his head, grinning. Well, I gotta say, memorable approach. No one's ever confessed to me like that before. I groaned. Great. I'm a legend. You are, actually, he said, still smirking. People were talking about it in the gym this morning. I choked. What? Relax. Most of them thought it was hilarious. Ethan leaned back. Besides, I liked it. It was real. I blinked. You liked it? He shrugged. Yeah. Most people try so hard to act cool. But you were just you. Okay. No one had ever said something that nice to me before. I swallowed, suddenly flustered. Ah, thanks. Ethan smiled, then picked up a menu. So, since you went through all the trouble of confessing, I figure the least I can do is buy you lunch. Wait, was this actually a date? Chapter 6 Lunch with Ethan went shockingly well. We talked about classes, favorite foods, and, to my horror, my complete lack of athletic ability. So let me get this straight, Ethan said, fighting back laughter. You've never been to the campus gym? Nope. Not even once. Why would I? I said, biting into my sandwich. I've never needed to lift anything heavier than a textbook. Ethan snorted. Okay, but what about running? I run when chased. Do you own running shoes? I shrugged. I own shoes. That's enough. Ethan shook his head in mock disappointment. Wow. And here I thought we could be workout buddies. I nearly choked. Workout buddies? He grinned. Yeah. You could spot me while I bench press. I raised an eyebrow. Ethan. I weigh, like, half of what you can bench press. Okay, fine, he said, smirking. I'll spot you. I crossed my arms. Why do I feel like this is just an elaborate scheme to trick me into exercising? Ethan leaned forward, grinning. Because it is. I narrowed my eyes. You're dangerous. He laughed. And yet, here you are, having lunch with me. Damn it. He had a point. Chapter 7 After lunch, Ethan and I walked out of the cafe together. I was still trying to process everything. Did I just have a date? Was this an actual date? With Ethan Carter, the same guy I'd been crushing on from afar for over a year. Brain.exe has stopped working, so, real talk, Ethan said suddenly, shoving his hands into his pockets. Was this a date? I nearly tripped over the sidewalk. I don't know. You tell me. He smirked. Well, I paid, and I'm ridiculously good looking, so, yeah, I'd say yes. My brain short-circuited. My whole system crashed. This was it. This was how I died right after my first real date, no less. Oh, cool. Good to know. I was pretty sure I sounded normal. Probably. Maybe. Not at all. Ethan chuckled. You're really bad at this, huh? Horrible. He nodded like he expected that answer. All right, nerd. I'll see you around. And just like that, he turned and walked off, leaving me standing there, staring after him like a confused NPC who hadn't been programmed with enough dialogue options. I had just accidentally gone on a date with my crush, and he was acting like it was normal. I needed help. 20 minutes later, I was in Rachel's dorm room, pacing back and forth while she lay on her bed, eating a granola bar like this was the most entertaining thing she'd ever witnessed. And then he just said, I'll see you around, and walked off. Like it was nothing. Rachel chewed thoughtfully. So let me get this straight, you had lunch with him, he called it a date, and you're freaking out because it wasn't supposed to happen like this. I threw my hands in the air. I was supposed to confess, get rejected, and move on with my life. That was the plan. Rachel snorted. Your plan sucked. I whirled around. Excuse me? I mean, think about it, she said, sitting up. Your plan was to confess and fail? That's like running into traffic and hoping to get hit just to get it over with. Okay, rude, but fair. I sighed and sank onto her desk chair. But still, how did this happen? How did I, of all people, end up on a date with Ethan Carter? Rachel raised an eyebrow. You yelled that you liked him in front of half the school. It'd be weirder if he ignored you after that. I groaned, burying my face in my hands. Do you think he's just messing with me? Rachel made a face. No. If he was just being nice, he wouldn't have called it a date. And he definitely wouldn't have flirted with you. I peeked at her through my fingers. Flirted? He didn't flirt. Rachel let out a slow, dramatic sigh. Oh my God. He literally called himself ridiculously good-looking. I frowned. That's just a fact. Rachel threw her granola bar at me. Chapter 8 The next morning, I woke up with a newfound determination. I was going to act normal around Ethan. No more stammering, no more short-circuiting, and definitely no more accidental public confessions. I was going to be calm, composed, and completely unremarkable. Spoiler alert. I failed immediately. It all started in the lecture hall that I walked in, spotted an empty seat, and started making my way toward it. And that's when I saw him, Ethan, sitting 3 rows ahead, leaned back in his chair, one arm draped lazily over the seat next to him. He was wearing a hoodie, but even that couldn't hide the fact that he was basically sculpted by the gym gods, and worse, he saw me. His lips twitched like he was already amused. Abort mission. Abort mission. I spun around so fast I almost tripped over my own feet. I needed a new seat. Preferably in a different classroom. Or a different university. Unfortunately, fate had other plans. Yo, nerd. My soul left my body slowly, painfully. I turned back around. Ethan was grinning. I pointed at myself. Me? No, the other nerd behind you. There was no one behind me. I clutched my notebook like a lifeline. What? Ethan kicked out the chair next to him. Sit. Oh no, this was dangerous. Sitting next to Ethan meant direct exposure to his ridiculous presence. It meant close-range interaction. It meant potential brain failure, but also, saying no would make it obvious that I was freaking out. And if there was one thing I couldn't let happen, it was letting Ethan know he had this effect on me, so I sucked it up, walked over, and sat down like it was totally fine. It was not fine. Ethan's arm rested against the back of my chair, his presence way too close. You always this jumpy, he murmured. I'm not jumpy, I whispered back, voice slightly higher than usual. He chuckled. Could have fooled me. I stared straight ahead, determined to focus on literally anything else. The professor started speaking. I took out my notebook and wrote down exactly one sentence before I felt something warm brush against my elbow. Ethan. His arm was resting on the desk right next to mine. I swallowed hard. Okay, this was fine. This was not affecting me at all. Ethan turned his head slightly. You okay? You're breathing real fast. I immediately held my breath. Ethan raised an eyebrow. Don't pass out. I exhaled violently. This was going to be the longest lecture of my life. The second class ended. I sprinted out of the lecture hall like a criminal fleeing the scene of a crime. I needed air. I needed distance. I needed to reboot. Unfortunately, Ethan had long legs and caught up easily. Yo, nerd, where you running off to? I groaned. Stop calling me that. Ethan smirked. What, you don't like it? No, because I stopped. Wait. Was he flirting? He tilted his head. You were saying? I panicked. Full internal meltdown. My brain searched for an escape and latched onto the first idea it found. I have to go to the library. Ethan blinked. Okay. I have a book to read. Right. Very important. Ethan grinned. Cool. I'll come with. I wanted to scream. 10 minutes later, I was sitting at a library table, pretending to read while Ethan sat across from me, actually reading like a normal person. How had this happened? Why was he here? Why was he making direct eye contact every few minutes like he found this hilarious? I cleared my throat. Shouldn't you be at the gym? Ethan smirked. What, you keeping track of my schedule now? I choked on my own spit. No. He laughed under his breath, flipping a page. Relax, nerd. I'm just messing with you. I sighed dramatically. I hate you. He didn't even look up. Nah. You like me. I froze. Ethan smirked. He knew exactly what he was doing. This was not part of my plan. Chapter 9. The next day, I vowed to keep my distance from Ethan. Not because I disliked him. Oh no, that would be too easy. The problem was the opposite. My brain had turned into mush around him, and my very public confession was still haunting me in my sleep. But, as usual, the universe had other plans. I was power walking through campus, determined to not cross paths with him today. I was stealthy. I was careful. I was, yo, nerd. I flinched so hard I nearly dropped my bag. Ethan jogged up next to me, looking far too energetic for someone who probably just finished bench pressing small cars. Are you stalking me? I accused. He raised an eyebrow. You're literally walking past the gym. How is this my fault? I checked my surroundings. Oh, Oops, Ethan smirked. You were trying to avoid me, weren't you? What? No. That's ridiculous. Then why'd you flinch like I caught you committing tax fraud? Because I floundered. I was startled. He chuckled, crossing his arms. Sure. This was a disaster. Ethan was getting way too comfortable teasing me, and worse, I could feel my face heating up. I needed an exit strategy. Oh look, I blurted. A bird. Over there. Ethan didn't even glance. Wow. Great distraction. It's a rare bird. Aha. It's doing flips. Ethan outright laughed. You're the worst liar I've ever met. Abort mission. Run. I spun around only to crash directly into someone's chest. Oof. I stumbled backward and looked up to see yet another gym rat. But this one wasn't Ethan, no, this was Jordan. Ethan's best friend, and, judging by his knowing smirk, he had heard everything. Well, Jordan said, crossing his arms. What do we have here? A tragic misunderstanding, I muttered. Jordan turned to Ethan. Dude, you didn't tell me she was this fun. Ethan rolled his eyes. Ignore him. Jordan ignored him. So, nerd girl, my name is not nerd girl. I know, but it annoys you, and that makes it fun. Jordan grinned. Anyway, you and Ethan. What's happening there? I panicked. Nothing. Ethan smirked. That's not what she screamed the other day. I whipped around to glare at him. I hate you. Ethan shrugged. Nah. You like me, remember? I was going to combust. Jordan, the absolute menace, just nodded in approval. Oh yeah, she's totally into you, he told Ethan. Stop analyzing Emmy. Jordan just patted my shoulder. We gym brothers are very observant. I turned to Ethan, pleading. Can you please control your pet? Ethan actually laughed. Nope. You're on your own. I was doomed. Somehow, I ended up inside the gym Jordan had suggested, forced me to tag along, claiming that if I was going to be part of the friend group now, I had to experience gym culture. This was ridiculous for two reasons. 1. I was not part of any friend group. Point 2. I had the upper body strength of a damp noodle. I'm going to die here, I muttered as I watched Ethan load up an insane amount of weight on a bar. Jordan grinned. Don't worry. Ethan can bench press you if you pass out. Ethan, the traitor, just smirked. I probably could. I turned red. Can you not? Jordan looked at Ethan. Oh yeah, dude, she's totally crushing. I buried my face in my hands. Chapter 10. If I had a list of top 10 worst decisions I've ever made, voluntarily entering a gym would now hold the number 1 spot. The place smelled like sweat, determination, and protein powder. People were grunting, weights were clanking, and machines I didn't even recognize looked like they were designed for medieval torture. I did not belong here, but thanks to Jordan's interference and Ethan's complete lack of resistance, here I was, stuck in the gym, trying not to die. Jordan clapped his hands together. Alright, nerd, let's see what you got. I frowned. Why do I feel like I'm about to be sacrificed? Ethan smirked. Because you are. Jordan grabbed a 5-pound dumbbell and handed it to me. Here. Start with this. I held it with one hand. Oh. Okay, this wasn't so bad. This is easy, I scoffed. Jordan grinned. Cool. Do 30 representatives. Oh. I did 5. By 10, my arm was shaking. By 15, I was questioning my entire existence. By 20, I was 95% sure my soul was leaving my body. Jordan and Ethan were watching way too closely. You're struggling with 5 pounds? Jordan snorted. I wheezed. You didn't tell me I had no stamina. Ethan tilted his head. Kinda figured it was obvious. I wanted to throw the dumbbell at him. Instead, I dropped it on my own foot. Ethan lunged forward instantly, grabbing my arm before I could fall over. Whoa, careful, he said, voice lower than usual. For a second, we were way too close. His hands were warm, his grip firm but careful. He was looking at me in a way that made my brain shut down completely, and then Jordan ruined it. Damn, Ethan, you might as well just carry her everywhere at this point. I yanked my arm back. I'm fine. Ethan chuckled, not looking convinced. Jordan smirked. You two are so cute, it's disgusting. Shut up. After what felt like years, we finally left the gym. Ethan walked next to me, hands in his hoodie pocket, completely relaxed. Meanwhile, I was dying. My arms felt like they'd been detached and reattached incorrectly. Ethan glanced at me. Sore? Who, me? I scoffed. No, not at all. I feel great. I immediately tripped over my own feet. Ethan caught my wrist before I could faceplant on the pavement. I groaned. I'm suing Jordan for emotional damages. Ethan chuckled. You lasted longer than I thought you would. I narrowed my eyes. Are you saying I look weak? He smirked. I'm saying I could probably bench press you. I whipped around to leave. Goodbye forever. Ethan grabbed the back of my hoodie. You're so dramatic, he muttered, dragging me back like I weighed nothing. I scowled. I hate you. He grinned. Nah. You like me. And just like that, I malfunctioned again. Chapter 11. After barely surviving gym bro initiation, I did what any sane person would do. I crawled to my best friend's dorm to complain. Nora was sitting on her bed, munching on a bag of chips. When I dramatically collapsed onto her floor, she barely blinked. You look like you just escaped a hostage situation. I groaned. Worse. I went to the gym. Her eyes widened. Willingly? Not willingly. I was tricked. Ambushed. I clutched my sore arms. I'm dying, Nora. She chewed her chip. Okay. But was Ethan there? I froze. Nora's smirk could have powered an entire city. Oh. He was. I tried to deflect. Jordan was there too. Jordan is not the reason you look like you just had a spiritual experience. I groaned and buried my face in a pillow. I hate you. No, you love Ethan. I threw the pillow at her face. After spending the next 10 minutes dramatically reliving my suffering, I thought the crisis was over. I was wrong, because when I got to class the next day, Nora was standing next to Ethan and she was smiling. I froze. Betrayal. Nora spotted me and waved. Oh, hey. Ethan and I were just talking. Suspicious. Ethan smirked. Yeah, we were having a very interesting conversation. Even more suspicious. I squinted at Nora. What did you do? She beamed. Nothing. Just, casual talk about your gym adventures. Oh, my God. Ethan grinned. She said you've been whining about how sore you are. I glared at her. Nora. Why? She shrugged. Because it's hilarious. Ethan chuckled, slinging his backpack over one shoulder. If you're that sore, I could help you stretch. I choked. What? He laughed at my reaction. Relax. I meant actual stretching. Helps with soreness. Oh, I said, my brain catching up. Right. Yeah. Totally. I turned bright red. Ethan smirked. What did you think I meant? I turned redder. Nora was living for this moment. Oh wow, look at the time. I have to go. Have fun, you two. And then she fled, abandoning me. So, Ethan said, tilting his head. Want me to show you how to stretch properly? I swallowed. Now? Unless you want to keep walking around like a stiff robot. I definitely did not do so. That's how I ended up in an empty corner of the library, standing in front of Ethan while he demonstrated stretches. This one's easy, he said, stepping closer. Just interlock your fingers and stretch your arms up. I did. He squinted. You look like you're surrendering to the police. I immediately dropped my arms. Okay, maybe I'm bad at this. He chuckled. Here. Let me. And then he stepped behind me. His hands lightly adjusted my arms, guiding me into the right position. Brain? Gone. I froze, suddenly hyper-aware of everything. He was so close. His hands were so warm. And his voice. You okay? He asked, low and amused. I squeaked. Squeaked like a broken rubber duck. Ethan snorted. What was that? Nothing. He stepped back, laughing. Glad to know you're so comfortable. He teased. I wanted the floor to swallow me. This was a disaster. Chapter 12. After barely surviving the most humiliating stretching session of my life, I made a promise. I would avoid Ethan until my nervous system recovered. That promise lasted one day. I had just sat down in the library with my laptop, ready to finally get some work done, or scroll through random Wikipedia pages. Same thing, really, when a very familiar voice interrupted my piece. Skipping the gym today? I jumped so hard my laptop nearly slid off the table. Ethan smirked, sliding into the seat across from me. I blinked. Do you just appear out of nowhere? He shrugged. Maybe. Do you even study? He raised an eyebrow. What do you think I do when I'm not lifting? Lift. Ethan laughed. I do, actually, pass my classes. I narrowed my eyes. Suspicious. Anyway. He leaned back. Since you're skipping the gym, I assume you're still sore? I immediately looked away. Trauma flashbacks. He chuckled. Thought so. I groaned, slumping against the table. How long does gym pain last? For you. He smirked. Probably forever. Rude. He leaned forward, resting his chin on his hand. But, you could just come again. I choked. Excuse me? Ethan shrugged. If you go regularly, you won't be sore anymore. Or I could just never go again and avoid suffering entirely. He grinned. But then you won't get to see me. I froze. Was that actual flirting? I squinted. Are you messing with me? He chuckled, but there was something way too smug in his expression. I dunno. Am I? I don't know how it happened, but 15 minutes later, I was back in the gym. Jordan greeted me like I was a lost soldier returning from war. You came back? He fake wiped a tear. They always do. I scowled. I was tricked. Ethan chuckled. She wants to redeem herself. I turned to him. Do I? He grinned. Yeah. You do. Alright, nerd. Jordan clapped his hands. We're doing squats today. I stared. Pardon? Ethan smirked. I'll show you. I didn't trust him at all, but then he did a squat, and I immediately lost my ability to function because, excuse me, who gave this man permission to be that ridiculously attractive? Jordan snapped his fingers in front of my face. Hello, Earth to nerd. I blinked. What? I'm listening. Jordan snorted. Ethan looked very amused. Oh yeah? Jordan smirked. Then tell me what he just said. I panicked. Something about physics. Ethan grinned. Jordan cackled. Yeah, she's so focused. I wanted to evaporate. Somehow, I actually managed to do the squats. Ethan stood next to me, correcting my posture when I started tipping over, which was too often. He grabbed my waist lightly, steadying me. Try again. I forgot how to breathe. Jordan watched us, looking suspiciously entertained. Bro, he said. You two are, like, one workout away from dating. I nearly collapsed. Ethan laughed. I think she'd rather die first. I definitely would. Probably. Maybe. Oh no. Chapter 13. After barely surviving gym round 2, aka my personal hell, I swore I was done. No more gym. No more squats. No more near-death experiences caused by Ethan casually existing. I would return to my safe nerd life, books, studying, and zero risk of being distracted by attractive gym rats. But did the universe let me have peace? Of course not. I was minding my business, reorganizing my notes in the library, when my phone buzzed. Ethan, where are you? Suspicious. I typed back, studying. Why, Ethan? Good. I'm coming. Excuse me. I blinked. Then I blinked again. Me. Wait. What, Ethan? Be there in 5. I stared at my phone in horror. Then, before I could even process what was happening, he appeared, like some gym rat ghost. I nearly fell out of my chair. How did you get here so fast? Ethan smirked. I was already on my way. Why? He sat down. Because I need help. I squinted. Suspicious. You'd need help? Yeah, he said. With studying. I blinked. Again. You study? Ethan rolled his eyes. Contrary to popular belief, I do have a brain. Debatable. He chuckled. So, are you gonna help me or not? It turned out, Ethan wasn't bad at studying, he was just very distracting. First, he kept leaning too close whenever he looked at my notes. Then, when I handed him a pen, his fingers brushed mine way too casually, and the worst part, he didn't even notice what he was doing to my brain. Meanwhile, I was over here having a full-on existential crisis. Okay, Ethan said, glancing at me. Explain this part again. I tried. I really did, but then he rested his chin on his hand and looked at me with those stupid golden brown eyes, and I forgot how to read. I blinked at my own notes. Yeah. This is, he raised an eyebrow. You okay? Totally. Super okay. I cleared my throat. So, this part is about, words. And stuff. Ethan smirked. Wow. A+ tutoring. I glared. Shut up. He chuckled but didn't say anything. Instead, he just watched me for way too long, like he was actually paying attention to me, and that was dangerous, because the longer he looked, the harder it became to ignore the one undeniable truth I had been trying to avoid. I was totally, absolutely, 1000% falling for him. Oh no. Chapter 14. After surviving the study session of doom, I made a new plan: avoid Ethan until my brain stopped malfunctioning around him. But, much like my previous plans, the universe laughed in my face. It all started with a simple message: Ethan, wanna grab food? At first, I thought, cool, a group thing. Harmless. Normal. Me. Who else is coming? Ethan. Just us. I froze. Just us. Me. Is this a date? Ethan. Relax, nerd. It's food. Suspicious, but also, I was hungry. So, like an idiot, I said, fine, and just like that, I walked straight into a trap. I arrived at the cafe 10 minutes early because my anxiety demanded it. And that's when I realized something very concerning. This looked exactly like a date: small, cozy cafe. Dim lighting. Cute corner table. Oh no. Before I could flee, Ethan walked in. He spotted me instantly, grinned, and made his way over. Wow. He smirked. You actually showed up early. I scowled. I am nothing if not punctual. Ethan chuckled. Right. Totally not, because you were overthinking. I gasped. How dare you? He just smirked like he knew he was right. I tried to focus on my food. I really did, but then Ethan did the thing. You know, the thing where he leans forward slightly, casually resting his chin on his hand, and just watches me. Like I'm the most interesting thing in the room. I forgot how to chew. What? I finally managed. Ethan smirked. Nothing. Just thinking. Dangerous. I squinted. About. He shrugged. How I never noticed before. I blinked. Noticed what? He leaned back, still smirking. That you're kinda cute when you're flustered. I choked on my drink, coughing. Dying. Regretting my life choices. Ethan just laughed. After barely surviving Ethan's weirdly flirty mood, I decided I need to leave. Immediately. I reached for my wallet. Okay. I'm gonna. Ethan grabbed my wrist, stopping me. I got it. I froze. Ha. He grinned. I invited you, so I'm paying. My brain short-circuited. That's okay? I blinked. But wait, doesn't that make this a relax, nerd? Ethan smirked. It's just food. Suspicious, but before I could argue, he let go of my wrist and walked off to pay. And just like that, Ethan officially won this round. Chapter 15. After accidentally going on a totally not a date with Ethan, I did what any rational person would do. I pretended it never happened. Did he smirk at me like he knew all my secrets? Yes. Did he casually call me cute? Also yes. Did he pay for my food like some kind of smug, muscular menace? Unfortunately, yes, but was I going to acknowledge any of it? Absolutely not. The next morning, I arrived on campus with a plan. Step 1, avoid Ethan. Step 2, pretend I don't have weird feelings. Step 3, study. Be a nerd. Stay safe. Simple. Foolproof. So, naturally, the universe ruined everything because the second I stepped into the library, I heard nerd. I stopped mid-step. Slowly, I turned. Ethan stood behind me, smirking. Of course. Fancy seeing you here, Ethan said, dropping into the chair next to me. I scowled. This is the library. Seeing me here is like seeing a fish in water. He chuckled. True. I turned back to my laptop. Focus. Ignore him. Stay strong. So. Ethan leaned forward. Are we gonna talk about it? I blinked at my screen. Talk about what? Our date. I choked, whipped around to glare at him. It wasn't a date. Ethan smirked. If you say so. I sputtered. It was just food. You literally said so yourself. He shrugged. I changed my mind. I stared. You can't just. Ethan grinned. You're cute when you panic. I made an inhuman sound. New plan. Step 1, escape. Step 2, deny everything. Step 3, never think about Ethan's dumb smirk ever again. I grabbed my books. Welp. Gotta go. Very busy. Ethan leaned back. Running away? Not at all. I forced a smile. I just, forgot I have a thing. Very important. Super urgent nerd emergency. He chuckled. Sure. I turned to leave. Almost made it, then Ethan said, casually, see you at the gym later. I froze. Oh. Right. The gym with Ethan. Where I'd have to be around him while he was all. Ethan, why? I turned, glaring. I hate you. He grinned. No, you don't. Crisis. Chapter 16. After barely surviving Ethan's smug ambush at the library, I considered skipping the gym, just disappearing. Changing my name. Fleeing the country, but then I remembered, 1. My scholarship required me to attend PE.2. Ethan wouldn't let me live it down if I ran .3. I was trying to be a strong, independent nerd who faced her problems. Unfortunately, my biggest problem was Ethan himself. I arrived 10 minutes late, hoping Ethan would already be busy. He wasn't. Instead, he was waiting for me leaning against the weights rack. Looking annoyingly good in his gym gear. I tried not to notice. I failed. Ethan smirked when he saw me. Look who actually showed up. I scowled. I hate that you doubted me. I hate that you're late. I blinked. Wait, you actually expected me to come? Ethan snorted. Yeah. Why? He shrugged. You like hanging out with me. I sputtered. I do not. Ethan just grinned. Sure. Alright, nerd, Ethan said, stretching. Time for squats. I groaned. Why this again? Because you need stronger legs. My legs are fine. They shook last time. That was an isolated incident. Ethan chuckled. Sure. Now, get into position. I sighed. Fine. I got into a squat. Ethan nodded approvingly. Better, he said. Now go lower. I tried, then immediately regretted everything. Somewhere between lower and hold it there, I lost all balance and fell backwards straight onto Ethan. I crashed into him with full force, knocking him down. He hit the mat with a grunt, and I'd landed on top of him face to face. Zero distance. I froze. Ethan blinked at me. I wanted to die. I tried to process. Point 1. I was lying on Ethan. Point 2. He was very warm. Point 3. His hands were on my waist. Point 4. His face was way too close. I forgot how to breathe. Ethan just looked at me like he was actually considering something, like he wasn't even slightly in a rush to move. You okay? He finally asked. I made a noise. A weird, high-pitched squeak. Ethan grinned. That was cute. I died. Right there. I rolled off him so fast I nearly face-planted. Ethan just laughed. Like he wasn't just casually holding me 5 seconds ago, see? He smirked. Told you your legs were weak. I glared, mortified. I hate you. Ethan chuckled. No, you don't. Crisis. Chapter 17. After my humiliating gym disaster, where I, a fully functional human, managed to fall onto Ethan, I made a terrible discovery. I wasn't just aware of him anymore. I was hyper-aware. Like every time he walked past me, I noticed when he stretched. My brain paused. If he smirked at me, forget about it. This was BAD. So, naturally, my brilliant solution was pretend nothing was happening. A few days later, I was sitting in the cafeteria with my friend, Liam, the very normal, very safe guy from my literature class. We were laughing about some dumb Shakespeare debate when suddenly Ethan appeared, and he did not look amused. He walked straight up to our table. Didn't say hi. Didn't smirk, just looked between me and Liam, his expression unreadable. I blinked up at him. Ah. Hi. Ethan nodded at Liam. Who's this? Liam, oblivious to the storm brewing, smiled. I'm Liam. We're in lit together. Ethan just stared. I frowned. Ethan, why do you look like you want to punch the air? Ethan ignored me. Instead, he asked Liam, casually, so, you and my nerd hang out a lot? My nerd. I choked on my drink. Liam, being normal, just laughed. Yeah, we study together sometimes. Ethan's jaw ticked. Oh, he said. Flatly. I narrowed my eyes. Ethan, are you cool? He cut me off. Didn't know she had other study partners. My brain short-circuited. I was so caught off guard that I blurted, are you jealous? Ethan's entire body stilled. Liam blinked. Wait, what? Ethan, finally, turned to look at me and smirked. What do you think? Brain malfunction. Part 5000 Me, Error. Error. Error Liam. Confused but entertained Ethan. Smug menace. I swallowed. You can't just say stuff like that. Ethan shrugged. Why not? Because it's weird. He grinned. You think about me that much? I died. Right there. In public, after Liam left, I whipped around. Okay, I said, pointing at him. Explain. Ethan just leaned back in his chair, smug as ever. What's there to explain? I sputtered. You just got jealous. He smirked. Did I? I wanted to scream, but also, maybe a tiny part of me liked it. Dangerous. Chapter 18. After Ethan's totally not jealous reaction to Liam, I tried to act normal. Keyword, tried. But how was I supposed to function when Ethan, Mr. Emotionally Unavailable Gym Rat, had just implied that he cared if I spent time with other guys? I mean, let's review. Heavy checkmark. Ethan inserted himself into my conversation. Heavy checkmark. Ethan stared at Liam like he was a problem. Heavy checkmark. Ethan called me his nerd. I was doomed, obviously. I couldn't just let this go. So, later that evening, I cornered Ethan outside the gym. He was mid-stretch, looking all sweaty and effortless. Unfair. I folded my arms. So? Ethan glanced at me. So? I huffed. You got jealous. He smirked. That's your theory? I scowled. It's not a theory, it's fact. Ethan chuckled. And what if I was? I blinked. Brain rebooting, huh? Ethan shrugged. What if I was jealous? I sputtered. Why you? What? Why her? Ethan just grinned. You're cute when you panic. I wanted to throw myself into the sun. Why you can't just say things like that? I shrieked. Why not? Because my brain refused to process. Are you flirting with me? Ethan tilted his head. Would you want me to? I died. I opened my mouth. No words came out. I tried again. Still nothing. Ethan laughed. Wow. This might be my favorite reaction yet. I hated him, but also, maybe I didn't. Maybe I liked this too much, and maybe, just maybe, I was about to say something very, very stupid. I exhaled sharply. Then, before I could stop myself, I blurted out, I like you, okay? Oh no. Ethan's smirk disappeared. I slapped a hand over my mouth. Brain. Undo. Ethan blinked. You, like me? I panicked. No. I shrieked. I mean, yes. I mean, forget I said that. Ethan grinned. Yeah, that's not happening. I sprinted away. Chapter 19. Let's do a quick recap of my latest life choices. Heavy checkmark. Confessed to Ethan. Accidentally. Heavy checkmark. Panicked. Denied everything. Heavy checkmark. Ran away like a disaster goblin. Conclusion. I was never showing my face in public again, which is why, for the next 2 days, I executed my most advanced strategy yet. Operation Dodge Ethan at all costs. This included heavy checkmark taking the long way to class. Heavy checkmark hiding behind random students in the hallway. Heavy checkmark ducking into the bathroom whenever I saw him. Foolproof, right? Wrong, because on day 3, Ethan found me. It happened in the library. I was innocently minding my own business, reading about statistical probability, when BM. A chair slid out across from me. I looked up, Ethan, grinning. I was in danger. So, he said, resting his arms on the table. Are you done avoiding me? I froze. No, I lied. Ethan smirked. That's so. I clutched my textbook like a shield. What do you want? He leaned forward. I think you know. My soul left my body. Ethan studied me, eyes glinting. So, about what you said. No, I shook my head aggressively. We don't talk about it. He chuckled. You sure? I scowled. Yes. Ethan tapped his fingers on the table. Then, casually, because I kinda like you too. I forgot how to exist. Me. What.my brain, system shut down. Ethan, still being attractive and smug. I blinked rapidly. You what? Ethan grinned. Oh, now you can't function? I made a strangled noise. Ethan chuckled. It's cute. I was going to explode. I scrambled for words. But you never. Ethan raised an eyebrow. You think I just flirt with everyone like this? I froze. I opened my mouth. No words came out. Ethan leaned in, voice lower. You were just too oblivious to notice. I died. Right there. In the library, chapter 20. So, Ethan just casually admitted to liking me. Did I in the middle of the library with zero hesitation? Meanwhile, I was over here malfunctioning at max capacity. I blinked at him multiple times. You like me? Ethan chuckled. Didn't I just say that? But, why? Ethan raised an eyebrow. Wow. Thanks. No, I mean, I gestured wildly. You could literally date anyone. Hot gym girls. Confident, normal people. Ethan smirked. Yeah. But I like you. I forgot how to breathe. I narrowed my eyes. You're messing with me. Ethan sighed. You always do this. Do what? Act like I wouldn't actually like you. I stared. He leaned forward, smirk fading. I like you, nerd. For real. What part of that isn't getting through your stubborn brain? My entire nervous system collapsed. Okay, I squeaked. Ethan grinned. Okay. I swallowed. Okay, fine. You like me. His smirk widened. Glad we're on the same page. What now? Ethan tilted his head. Well, normally, people who like each other go on dates. Brain static, a date? I croaked. Ethan smirked. Yeah. You, me. An actual date. I panicked. A date with Ethan. Did I in public? Where people could see us. I couldn't just sit there and awkwardly admire his arms from a distance anymore. I had to be normal. I had to function. I had to. Do I have to dress cute? I blurted. Ethan laughed. I buried my face in my hands. Ethan grinned. Yes. And I'm picking you up at 7. I peeked between my fingers. Wait, what? He stood up, stretching. Friday. 7. Dress cute. I gawked. You're just deciding? Ethan smirked. Obviously. And then, he just walked away, leaving me with no choice but to accept my fate. Chapter 21. Friday arrived too fast. 1 minute, I was convincing myself this wasn't real. The next, I was staring at my reflection, holding 5 different outfits, whispering, what have I done? I paced my room, half-dressed and fully stressed. Heavy checkmark. Option 1, too casual. Heavy checkmark. Option 2, too fancy. Heavy checkmark. Option 3, looked like I was going to an interview. Heavy checkmark. Option 4, made me look like I was trying too hard. Heavy checkmark. Option 5, the safest option. I grabbed option 5, jeans, a cute top, and sneakers. Cool. Casual. Normal, except, was this cute enough? Before I could spiral further, my phone buzzed. Ethan, be outside in 5. Don't overthink your outfit, nerd. I shrieked. When I finally made it outside, Ethan was leaning against his car, scrolling on his phone. I had approximately 3 seconds to mentally prepare before he looked up and smirked. My brain short-circuited. He was wearing a fitted black t-shirt, unfair, jeans, equally unfair, and his stupid, charming confidence. Damn, he said, eyes sweeping over me. You actually listened. I crossed my arms. Listened to what? He grinned. Dress cute. I died. So, I said, sliding into the passenger seat. Where are we going? Ethan shrugged. It's a surprise. I stared. A what? He smirked. Relax. You'll love it. Considering I was already on the verge of spontaneous combustion, I seriously doubted that. But then Ethan turned up the radio, drummed his fingers on the wheel, and started humming along to the song. And suddenly, I wasn't so nervous anymore. 20 minutes later, we pulled up to a retro arcade. I blinked. Are we 12? Ethan chuckled. You love games. Thought you'd like this better than some fancy restaurant. I blinked again. He remembered. A few weeks ago, I had randomly mentioned that I loved old-school arcade games. And here he was, bringing me to one. I looked at him, heart doing something dumb and fluttery. Okay, I said, trying not to sound flustered. Let's see if you can keep up, gym boy. Ethan smirked. Oh, it's on, nerd. 15 minutes in, I had demolished him in heavy checkmark Pac-Man, heavy checkmark air hockey, heavy checkmark Street Fighter. Ethan stood there, genuinely stunned. I crossed my arms. You good there, champ? He narrowed his eyes. You've been hustling me. I grinned. Maybe. Ethan dragged a hand down his face. I literally spend hours in the gym and you're telling me I just got destroyed by a girl half my size. I patted his arm. Don't feel bad. You're cute when you lose. He froze. I froze. We both realized what I had just said, and then Ethan grinned. Oh, you think I'm cute? I sprinted away. Chapter 22. After my accidental flirting disaster, I did the only reasonable thing. I fled like a coward. Unfortunately, I only made it about 3 steps before Ethan caught my wrist, turned me around, and grinned like a menace. So, he said, amused. You think I'm cute? I panicked. No. Ethan chuckled. That's not what you said 2 seconds ago. I desperately searched for an escape. He smirked. What's wrong, nerd? You were real confident when you were kicking my ass. I scowled. That was different. Ethan nodded. Yeah. You're just too flustered now. I pointed at him. You're enjoying this. His grin widened. So much. Ethan crossed his arms, gaze playful. You embarrassed me all night, he mused. I think it's only fair I get some payback. I narrowed my eyes. What kind of payback? His smirk turned downright wicked. You'll see. I did not like the sound of that. Ethan led me toward a basketball hoop game at the back of the arcade. I frowned. What are we doing here? He grinned. Time for you to lose. I scoffed. You're assuming I'll lose. Ethan picked up a ball, easily sinking a shot without even trying. He turned to me, smug as hell. Yeah, I am. I was so screwed. My first shot didn't even hit the rim. Ethan snorted. Wow. I glared. Shut up. Second shot. Worse. Ethan laughed. Oh, this is great. By my 4th failed shot, I groaned. Why am I so bad at this? Ethan, still grinning like a jerk, stepped behind me. Here, he murmured, wrapping his arms around me to guide my hands. Oh no, brain, error. Ethan was too close. His arms boxed me in. His voice was low in my ear. I was dying. Relax, he said. Line up the shot. Use your wrist, not your whole arm. I barely heard him over the sound of my heartbeat doing gymnastics. Why yeah, okay, I stammered. He smirked. Try again. With him still wrapped around me, I weakly tossed the ball and missed. Ethan laughed directly against my neck. I was going to combust. I whirled around, flustered beyond repair. You're doing this on purpose. Ethan grinned. What? Helping you? I scowled. No. Being hot and distracting. Ethan grinned wider. You think I'm hot? I slapped a hand over my mouth. I had just played myself. Ethan, fully amused, leaned in. That makes twice tonight. I turned on my heel and ran for my life. Chapter 23. After publicly humiliating myself twice, I did the only logical thing. I speed-walked out of the arcade, determined to leave Ethan and my dignity behind. Unfortunately, I forgot one crucial detail. Ethan was a gym rat. Catching up to me took 3 seconds. Hey, he called, easily falling into step beside me. You running from me, nerd? No, I lied. He chuckled. Emitem. So you just happen to be power walking like you're in the Olympics? I clutched my bag tighter. Cardio is important. Ethan snorted. Aha. Sure. I refused to look at him, still reeling from my flirting disaster. Ethan? Absolutely loving this. We walked for a few minutes, comfortable silence settling in until Ethan casually asked, Where do you think you're going? I blinked. Home. Ethan nodded. Cool. I'll walk you. I stopped dead in my tracks. You what? He smirked. Walk. You. Home. I gawked. You don't have to do that. Ethan shrugged. I know. But it's late, I argued. He raised an eyebrow. Exactly. So I'm walking you. Oh no. He was doing the bare minimum, and I was swooning. We started walking again, and I desperately tried to not be weird. Spoiler, I failed. So, Ethan said. Had fun? I nodded. Yeah. Even though you cheated. He laughed. How did I cheat? You used your muscles to distract me, I accused. Ethan grinned. So you admit you were checking me out? I tripped over nothing. Ethan caught my arm before I face-planted. Careful, nerd, he teased. Wouldn't want you dying again. I groaned into my hands. We finally reached my apartment building. I turned to Ethan, unsure how to end this. Thanks. For, walking me. He nodded. No problem. I awkwardly shifted, debating whether to run inside or say something else, but before I could decide, Ethan reached out and tucked a strand of my hair behind my ear brain, shutting down. I froze. He smirked. See you tomorrow? I nodded like an idiot. Why yeah. He chuckled, gave me one last look, then turned and walked away. I stood there for a full 30 seconds, staring at nothing, before whispering, I'm so screwed. Chapter 24. The moment I stepped into my apartment, I did the only logical thing. I threw myself onto my bed, grabbed my pillow, and screamed into it for several minutes. Heavy checkmark. Ethan took me to an arcade instead of some fancy date spot. Cute. Heavy checkmark. Ethan let me destroy him in every game. Flattering. Heavy checkmark. Ethan wrecked my soul by flirting back. Unacceptable. Heavy checkmark. Ethan walked me home like a total gentleman. Illegal. Heavy checkmark. Ethan touched my hair like it was normal and not a romance movie moment. Arrest him. Conclusion. I am in trouble. I grabbed my phone and speed dialed my best friend, MIA. She answered in 0.2 seconds. Hey, you sound unhinged. What happened? Me. I think Ethan is flirting with ME. MIA. Congrats. Me. No, this is a disaster. MIA. Explain. So I ranted for 5 full minutes about the arcade, the basketball sabotage, the hair moment, everything. MIA listened, completely silent. Then she said, dude, you're dating. Me. What? No, we're not. MIA. You went on a date. He flirted. He walked you home. He touched your hair. Me. He was just being nice. MIA. Oh my god. You're so dumb. Me. He didn't even try to kiss me. MIA. Because he respects you. Me. No. Because this isn't a real date. MIA. Sweetie, wake up. After the call, I paced my room in full meltdown mode because MIA was wrong, right? Sure, Ethan had flirted, sure, he had looked at me like I was something special, sure, I was currently lying awake thinking about him instead of sleeping. Okay. Maybe MIA was a little right. At 12:47 a.m., my phone buzzed. Ethan. Still awake, nerd. I stared at it, then I typed back me. No. I'm sleep texting Ethan. Impressive. Maybe I should ask you out in your sleep. Less chance of rejection. I choked on air. I stared at the message like it was a bomb. Then, before I could overthink it, I responded, me. Who says I'd reject you? Ethan left me on read for 3 minutes. Then Ethan, guess I'll have to test that theory, and just like that, I ceased to exist. Chapter 25. By the time I woke up the next morning, I had 3 main thoughts. 1. Last night's conversation was a dream. Point 2. If it wasn't a dream, I was moving to another country. Point 3. I needed therapy, but then I checked my phone and saw the texts were real, and saw that Ethan had texted me again. Ethan. Morning, nerd. Ethan, you're not gonna ghost me after last night, right? I screamed into my pillow. Then, because I was an idiot, I responded, me. I was considering it. Ethan. Rude. Especially when I have a surprise for you today. Me. What kind of surprise? Ethan. You'll see. Be ready in an hour. I stared at my screen in horror. An hour? Heavy checkmark jeans. Heavy checkmark cute but not too cute top. Heavy checkmark minimal makeup to hide the sleep-deprived gremlin look. I somehow pulled myself together before Ethan showed up. And then, he did. And he looked annoyingly good. White t-shirt, joggers, and a smug expression that told me he knew exactly what he was doing to me. I stepped outside, arms crossed. Okay, gym rat. Where are we going? Ethan grinned. You trust me? No, he laughed. Tough. Let's go. 15 minutes later, we pulled up to a smoothie place. I frowned. This is your big surprise. Ethan smirked. Patience. We ordered, he got a protein-packed monstrosity, I got something with mango, and then, as soon as I took a sip, Ethan snatched my phone out of my hands. I gasped. Hey. He held it up, grinning. What's your lock code? I froze. Why would I tell you that? Ethan leaned in. So I can change my contact name, obviously. I blinked. Excuse me? Ethan smirked. You still have me saved as Ethan, annoying, don't you? I turned red. That's classified information. Ethan cackled. Then, before I could react, he handed my phone back. I stared at the screen. His contact name was now Ethan Redheart #flexed biceps. I nearly choked on my smoothie. What? Ethan shrugged. Better, right? I pointed at him. This is emotional warfare. Ethan just winked. We sat outside, drinking our smoothies, when Ethan suddenly said, "So, wanna go on an actual date?" I froze mid-sip. I slowly lowered my cup. "What?" Ethan grinned. "You heard me." My brain short-circuited. You're joking." He leaned forward. "Am I?" I stared. He stared back. My heart did a backflip. I swallowed. "You're serious?" Ethan smirked. "You did say you wouldn't reject me." I instantly regretted every decision that led to this moment. Chapter 26. Ethan had just casually asked me on a date, like it was normal, like I was normal, like I wasn't one wrong move away from combusting on the spot. I blinked, then blinked again, then, very eloquently, said, "Huh?" Ethan smirked. "Need me to repeat it?" "No," I blurted. "I just, wait, are you serious?" Ethan leaned in. "Very." I almost fell off my chair. Brain, error. Error, option 1, say yes and risk public embarrassment, heart failure, and spontaneous combustion. Option 2, say no and live in regret for the rest of my sad, nerdy existence. Option 3, fake my own death and move to another country. All very valid choices. I cleared my throat. This wouldn't be, like, a pity date, right? Ethan raised an eyebrow. "Why would it be a pity date?" "Because," I gestured to myself, "I'm me. And you're you." Ethan tilted his head, amused. Anne, I'm not your usual type." Ethan's smirk instantly widened. "My usual type," he repeated, clearly enjoying my suffering. I turned red. "You know, gym girls, sports girls, people who can actually throw a basketball." Ethan chuckled. "Guess I don't have a usual type then." I froze. Brain, did he just? Ethan leaned forward, resting his chin on his hand. "I like hanging out with you, nerd. And I think you like hanging out with me too." I died. Right there. I inhaled. Exhaled. Inhaled again. Then, before I could second guess myself, I squeaked out a response. "Okay." Ethan grinned. "Okay." I nodded aggressively. "Yes. Fine. Whatever. We can go on a date." His grin widened. "Cool." I squinted at him. "You're taking this way too well." Ethan shrugged. "I knew you'd say yes eventually." My jaw dropped. "Excuse me?" He smirked. "Come on. You literally confessed in front of half the school." I groaned into my hands. "I'm never living that down." Ethan laughed. I suffered. As we got up to leave, Ethan turned to me. "By the way," he said, grinning like a menace, "since this is an actual date now." I hesitated. "Yeah." He leaned down, voice low. "You should probably start calling me your boyfriend." I short-circuited. I whipped around so fast I nearly knocked over a chair. "Ethan." He laughed, hands in his pockets, fully enjoying my meltdown. "See you tomorrow, nerd." Then he walked away and left me standing there like a fool. I collapsed back into my seat. I'm in so much trouble. Chapter 27. I spent the entire next day in a state of pure panic, because somehow Ethan and I were officially going on a date. A real date. Not a haha, we're just hanging out date. Not an oops, I accidentally confessed in public date. Not a let's pretend this isn't a big deal date. A date with expectations, with pressure, with a very high chance of me embarrassing myself. Heavy checkmark dress? Too much, heavy checkmark jeans and a hoodie. Too casual, heavy checkmark stealing Mia's entire closet. Tempting. In the end, I went with something safe, a fitted top, high-waisted jeans, and my most comfortable sneakers. Hair? Surprisingly decent. Makeup? Minimal but cute. Overall confidence level? Hovering between mildly nervous and full existential crisis. Mia gave me a thumbs up. "You look date-worthy," she said. "I look like I'm about to throw up." Same thing. Ethan showed up right on time, and of course he looked annoyingly good. Black t-shirt, ripped jeans, and a smirk that told me he absolutely knew how flustered I was. "Hey, nerd." "Hi," I said, way too fast. He scanned me, lips twitching. "You look nice." I forgot how to function. "Oh. Thanks. You too. I mean, you always look nice, not that I notice, not that I don't notice." Ethan grinned. "Wow. That was painful." I covered my face. "Can we go now?" "Absolutely." 20 minutes later, we pulled up to a carnival. I blinked. Wait, this is our date. Ethan smirked. Yeah. You don't like it? I frowned. No, it's just unexpected. Ethan grinned. Good. I like keeping you on your toes. I rolled my eyes, but secretly, I was kind of excited. Heavy checkmark. First stop, the basketball booth. Ethan turned to me, smirking. Think you can beat me? Not a chance, I deadpanned. Ethan laughed. Then, because he was a menace, he stood behind me, gently adjusted my arms, and whispered, like this. My brain stopped working, Ethan. This close, Ethan. Touching my arms, Ethan. Sabotaging my ability to function. I missed the shot completely. Ethan cackled. I shoved him. You did that on purpose. Ethan just grinned. Maybe. Heavy checkmark. Second stop, the cotton candy stand. Want some? Ethan asked. I nodded. Then, before I could grab a piece, he tore off a chunk and held it up to my mouth. I stared. You seriously expect me to? Ethan raised an eyebrow. You chickening out? My pride refused to let me back down, so I took a bite. The sugar melted on my tongue, so did my dignity. Ethan smirked. Good girl. I choked on air. Heavy checkmark. Third stop, the Ferris wheel. The moment the ride paused at the top, I realized my fatal mistake. That I was terrified of heights. Ethan noticed immediately. Whoa, are you okay? I nodded stiffly. Yeah. Totally. This is fine. Ethan tilted his head. You look like you're about to pass out. I am having a great time. Ethan laughed. Then, before I could react, he casually grabbed my hand. I froze. I turned to him slowly. What are you doing? He shrugged. You looked like you needed it. I stared at our intertwined fingers. A T, his stupid warm hand holding mine like it was normal. A T, the way my brain completely blue-screened. Then, after several moments of internal screaming, I squeaked out a response. Thanks. Ethan squeezed my hand, and suddenly, I didn't care about the height anymore. By the time Ethan dropped me off, I was fully and completely smitten. He walked me to my door, hands in his pockets, grinning like he knew exactly what kind of effect he had on me. Well, he said. How was it? I crossed my arms. Annoyingly fun. Ethan chuckled. I'll take that as a win. I hesitated. I had a really good time. His eyes softened. Me too. There was a beat of silence. Then Ethan leaned in slightly. My heart jumped. Was this a kiss moment? I panicked. I wasn't ready. So, in a desperate attempt to escape, I smacked his arm, shouted goodnight, and sprinted inside. I collapsed against my door, panting. Brain, you absolute coward. Phone buzzes. I checked the screen. Ethan, nice getaway, nerd. But you're not escaping next time. I screamed into my hands. Chapter 28. The morning after the best-worst date of my life, I woke up to 3 thoughts. 1. I ran away from a potential kiss. Point 2. Ethan definitely noticed. Point 3. I am a coward. MIA, being the supportive friend that she is, absolutely did not make it better. So, let me get this straight, she said, sipping her coffee. He took you on an adorable carnival date, fed you cotton candy, held your hand on the Ferris wheel, and you ran away at the end? I groaned into my hands. It was instinct. MIA slammed her cup down. Instinct. Girl, your instincts suck. As I was in the middle of spiraling, my phone buzzed. Ethan, morning, coward. I instantly died inside. Me. I wasn't a coward, Ethan. You ran. Me. It was strategic, Ethan. Strategic running. Me. Yes, Ethan. Okay, strategist. Meet me at the campus quad in 20 minutes. I frowned. Me. Why, Ethan? Because I said so. Don't chicken out again. 20 minutes later, I dragged myself to the quad, heart hammering. Ethan was already there, leaning against a bench, looking entirely too good for someone who just ruined my morning. I stopped a few feet away. What's this about? Ethan smirked. You tell me. I blinked. Huh? Ethan tilted his head. You like me, right? I choked on air. Brain. Mayday, mayday, mayday. What, who, why? I stammered. Ethan took a step forward, hands in his pockets. You confessed once. Might as well do it properly. I froze. He wanted me to confess again, in broad daylight. I swallowed. You already know I do. Ethan grinned. I wanna hear you say it. I was going to combust. I glared. You're evil. He shrugged. You're stalling. I I inhaled, then, very softly, muttered, "I like you." Ethan cupped his ear. "Sorry, what was that?" I narrowed my eyes. "You heard me." Ethan smirked. "Say it properly." I groaned. "I like you, okay? Happy." Ethan laughed. "There we go." Then, before I could react, he grabbed my hand, pulled me forward, and kissed me. It wasn't a huge kiss. Just a soft, teasing press of his lips against mine, but it was enough. Enough to make my brain short-circuit. Enough to make my heart explode. Enough to make me forget every single thought in my head. When he pulled away, he was grinning. "See," he murmured. "Was that so hard?" I stared at him. Then, because I am the single most awkward person alive, I blurted out, "Do you have any homework to do?" Ethan burst out laughing. I covered my face. "I hate myself." He just tugged my hands away and kissed me again, and this time, I didn't run. The end epilogue, The Nerd and the Gym Rat, 1 month later. If someone had told me a month ago that I would be dating Ethan Carter, I would have laughed in their face, choked on my own spit, and then run away, but somehow, this was my life now. Ethan and I were officially together, and the worst part, he was obnoxiously good at being a boyfriend. "You're dating a gym rat now," Ethan said one afternoon, stretching his arms behind his head. "Which means you should work out with me." I blinked at him from behind my laptop. "That was not in the contract." Ethan smirked. "Oh, was there a contract?" "Yes. It's called Basic Human Decency." "Too bad," Ethan said, grabbing my laptop and setting it aside. "We're going." I squawked in protest the entire walk to the gym. Ethan, meanwhile, looked like he was having the time of his life. "Why do you hate me?" I whined as I tried, and failed, to lift a 5-pound weight. Ethan, who was bench pressing an ungodly amount, just grinned. "I don't. I actually like you a lot." I narrowed my eyes. "Then why are you trying to kill me?" "Because you're cute when you suffer." I dropped the weight on his foot. Since Ethan forced me to work out, I decided to return the favor. "Study date," I announced, plopping a 400-page biology textbook in front of him. Ethan blinked at it like it personally offended him. "What is that?" "Your worst nightmare." He groaned. "You're evil. You love me." Ethan smirked. "Yeah, I do." My brain short-circuited. Ethan just leaned back in his chair, arms crossed. "What?" "You can say it, but I can't." I immediately pretended to focus on my notes. "Shut up and study." Ethan just laughed. One day, as we were walking across campus, Ethan casually reached for my hand. In broad daylight, with witnesses. I immediately yanked it back. Ethan frowned. "What's wrong?" "People are looking." Ethan raised an eyebrow. "So?" I hissed. "What if someone I know sees us?" "You mean, your boyfriend?" I smacked his arm. "Don't say it like that." Ethan just laughed, grabbed my hand again, and refused to let go, and, despite my entire body combusting, I secretly, kind of liked it. A month into our relationship, Ethan and I were at the campus quad, enjoying a rare peaceful moment. "I have a question," I said, tapping my chin. Ethan hummed. "Shoot." I turned to him, smirking. "When exactly did you start liking me?" Ethan paused. I gasped. "You don't remember?" Ethan groaned. "I do. I grinned smugly. "So I win. I was obsessed with you first." Ethan rolled his eyes. "Sure, nerd." Then, before I could celebrate my victory, he pulled me closer and kissed me. Right there in the middle of campus, with witnesses, and this time, I absolutely did not run away. Heavy checkmark. I survives dating a gym rat. Heavy checkmark. Ethan survives dating a nerd. Heavy checkmark. Public handholding is still a scam, and that's it. The nerd and the gym rat live happily ever after. Or at least until Ethan drags her to the gym again. The end again.
Meanwhile, Ethan's POV, yes, he's confused, and maybe a little obsessed. Ethan sat on a bench outside the gym, scrolling through his phone, but he wasn't actually reading anything. His mind was elsewhere. Specifically, on a certain awkward, nerdy girl who had somehow hijacked his entire afternoon. Jordan, his best friend and designated nosy investigator, stood in front of him with his arms crossed. "So let me get this straight, you went on a date with the girl who screamed her love for you in front of half the school, and you didn't think to tell me?" Ethan smirked. "I'm telling you now." That doesn't count. Jordan groaned. Dude, you're the worst at keeping me updated. You could have texted me the second it happened. Ethan tilted his head. Why? So you could overanalyze it and make me regret my life choices? Yes. That's literally my job as your best friend. Jordan huffed. Okay, so what's the verdict? You into her? Ethan leaned back, staring up at the sky. Was he into her? That was the question, wasn't it? He thought back to lunch, the way she had poked at her food like it was personally offending her, the way she'd turned into a malfunctioning robot every time he made eye contact, the way her glasses had slipped down her nose, and she'd shoved them back up in that distracted, way too cute way. She was a mess. A complete, chaotic, fascinating mess, and Ethan was finding it really hard to look away. Jordan snapped his fingers in front of his face. Hello? Earth to Ethan? Ethan blinked. What? You spaced out. Dude, you were literally smiling to yourself. What were you thinking about? Ethan shrugged, playing it cool. Nothing. Jordan's eyes narrowed. Liar. Ethan smirked, but he didn't deny it. Because maybe, just maybe, this whole thing was a little more interesting than he'd expected. Epilogue. Ethan's POV, the nerd is mine now. If someone had told me months ago that I'd end up dating her, I would have laughed, not because I didn't like her. Oh no. That was the problem. I liked her way too much. From the moment she screamed her love confession at me in front of half the school, I was doomed. Now, I was officially, completely, and ridiculously obsessed, and honestly, I didn't even care. The hand-holding war. Dating her was fun. Dating her in public was hilarious. One afternoon, we were walking across campus when I did something completely normal. I reached for her hand. She yanked it back like I electrocuted her. I frowned. What? She whispered, people are looking. I looked around. Yeah. Because they have eyes. She smacked my arm. That's not the point. I sighed, grabbed her hand again, and held on tighter. She muttered, you are the worst. I smirked. And you're still holding my hand. She sputtered. I won the gym curse, babe. You need to work out. She stared at me. I need to do what? I folded my arms. You're dating a gym rat now. That means absolutely not. I grabbed her wrist. Too late. Let's go. She screamed the entire walk to the gym. When we got there, she lifted a 5-pound weight and groaned like she was carrying the weight of the world. I was bench pressing 225 pounds. She glared at me. I hate you. I smirked. You love me. She dropped the weight on my foot. I absolutely deserved it. Since I forced her to work out, she decided to get revenge. By making me study now, I wasn't dumb. But school? Not my thing. She plopped a massive biology textbook in front of me. Study time. I blinked. What is that? Your worst nightmare. I groaned. I hate you. She smirked. You love me. I leaned closer. Yeah, I do. She short-circuited. I won again. When did I start liking her? A month into dating. She looked at me with that mischievous nerd look. I have a question. I raised an eyebrow. Shoot. She turned to me, grinning. When exactly did you start liking me? I paused. She gasped. You don't remember? I groaned. I do. Her grin grew evil. So I win. I was obsessed first. I rolled my eyes. Sure, nerd. Then, before she could celebrate, I pulled her closer and kissed her right there. In front of everyone. She froze. Then, she kissed me back, and I knew, without a doubt, she was mine. The real end, for real this time. Heavy checkmark. She survived the gym. Heavy checkmark. I survived studying. Heavy checkmark. She lost the hand-holding war. And best of all, she was completely, undeniably, ridiculously mine.